Welcome to the Cannabis 101 podcast, your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond. Here's your host, Dean Millard.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 72, hour number 2 of the Cannabis 101 podcast. If you are indeed watching, that is my white, beautiful view. The sun just going down past the building and the fence out there. So that's what I'm looking at for the next 6 months. But there is, of course, one way that we like to start things off on this program, and that's just simply finding out what's your groove.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Can you dig it?
Kinda grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
Pipe in a crate, long in a place.
This is great. This is the bee's knees.
Can you dig it?
All right, this is what I am grooving with this week. A little Bang dark chocolate. Thought I'd give the edibles a bit of another try. I don't usually and have not had a lot of success with any of the psychoactive effects of cannabis. This is 10 milligram dark chocolate. So that's what I'm grooving with. But if you're grooving with something, I would love to know. Hit me up at the Cannabis 101 on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook, the Cannabis 101 podcast. And, of course, you can email us as well, cannabis101podcast at gmail.com. And if you'd like to remain anonymous, that's fine too. But let me know. If you're grooving to something while you're listening to this show, hit me up. So the one thing I will say, I won't do it with my mouth full, is that the edibles, the chocolates, way better taste than the drinks. The drinks are getting there, but right off the bat, the chocolate tasted like chocolate. It did not, the snozzberries taste like snozz, but it did not have that cannabis taste, which I have had in a lot of homemade edibles. So that is what I'm grooving with. Again, hit me up and let me know if you are indeed grooving with something. All right, the Cannabis 101 podcast is proud to welcome Stone Smiths as the presenting sponsor. Check them out at stonesmiths.ca. You can also find them at Shell Shock in Edmonton, Smokers Junction in Calgary, and Cowboys Smoke Shop in Calgary and Vancouver. This is the Slash from Stone Smiths. So very cool. If this looks like the little machine they used in Men in Black, it's because that's what's inspired these dudes. They're so cool. It's got a little built-in loader. I've got mine with some shatter for later on. They also give you this cool little 6-pocket device for your concentrates to keep them. It's awesome. The battery, by the way, is built for Edmonton winters, as you saw off the top of the show. It is built for cold winters because they are an Edmonton company. So they are very thankful to have the guys from Stone Smiths on board. Check out more information at stonesmiths.ca. We'll tell you about some of the other cool features as we roll along the program here on the Cannabis 101 podcast. But here is what's coming down the hash pipe on this show today. We're gonna have some fun. A little bit different than what we've done normally. We are going to do a little trivia with these guys when it comes to stoner movies. Shahbaaz Kara and Erik Fonseca. They are combined there with Spiffy. In their other real lives or separate lives, although these two guys are like the odd couple. They're attached at the hip. Great dudes. But Shahbaaz works with Dutchie, and Erik works with Detonate. And we're going to tell you about some of those companies in the cannabis space and have some fun. And I'm looking forward to having a good relationship with these guys because it was a lot of fun recording with them earlier today. And, of course, I always have fun with Chris Ianson. He is my educator and hopefully yours on What's That Strain. And he's also the manager of Nova Cannabis on Jasper Avenue in Edmonton. We are doing Lemon Skunk, Strain Hunters Lemon Skunk from Thumbs Up brand on What's That Strain. So looking forward to that. The cannabis question is about your family member. If you're watching, you can see it. And what pairs well with cannabis is coming up as well. We'll also get to our cannabis character, and we'll tell you about the Weed Weekly, which has a giveaway every single week that you subscribe to. And we'll tell you more how you can get into that in just a little bit. But let's get things going with the cannabis question.
It's prize time. Chime in on the cannabis question.
Okay.
And you could win a Cannabis 101 podcast prize pack.
Pipe and a crepe, bong and a blint.
Hit us up on any of our social media feeds or email us at cannabis101podcast@gmail.com.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so the cannabis question is the same one that we went with from our number one, but it is simply put, what family member would you like to get high with? We have received some really, really great responses from some listeners that have reached out to mention their grandparents or, their late grandparents, unfortunately, maybe in some circumstances. And that makes me sad as well. But, hopefully that, there's a generation that's going to grow up without that stigma because there is definitely a lot of stigma when it comes to cannabis. So what family member would you like most to get high with? And a lot of this comes down to breaking the stigma. I would, unfortunately, my wife has battled cancer twice. And if that disease ever comes back, cannabis, I know cannabis will definitely be a part of it. I wish cannabis had been around when my mom was going through cancer in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, but it just wasn't as prevalent in Brandon, Manitoba, that's for sure. I would also love to get high with my dad, and I would love to get him using CBD as a product to help his life and some of the things that he is dealing with, as people of our generation's parents do when they age. And my brother, I would love to get a high with Master Warrant Officer Derek Millard, who, of course, we are all thinking about on this day, Remembrance Day. Recording this after 11 a.m., so that's why I'm not wearing a poppy, but we're still proudly displaying them on the set here, and I'd love to get high. I call him Straight Lace Ace. I don't even think I've ever seen him drunk before, so that would be quite interesting. So I would definitely love to get high with my older brother, Derek, and thank you to him for his service, particularly on this day. Okay, so what pairs well with cannabis? Oh, by the way, you can send your responses to the Cannabis 101 podcast, the Cannabis 101 podcast at gmail.com if you'd like to email us. You can also respond to that at the Cannabis 101. You can get us on Facebook at the Cannabis 101 podcast and on Instagram, Cannabis 101 podcast as well. So hit us up on any of our social media strains. Check out the website, cannabis101podcast.ca. You can also get to us through there through an email. And just for chiming in, we're going to have a just this week, I'm feeling really generous. We're going to give away a pair of Regal Slims from the Regal Cigar. Andre's going to be on this show next week. I can't wait to talk to him about his story and the amount of man hours and work he has put into those beautiful Regal cigars. So chime in on the cannabis question and you could get a pair of Regal Slims in your hand just for telling us what family member you would like to get high with. As for what pairs well with cannabis, I'm going with sports. And, for a lot of people, that might sound silly. But when you hear the one-hitters that I did with Erik and Shahbaaz, they both talked about sports. And I think cannabis can play a role, especially in recovery. But, I do not think that you will see professional players getting high, although there have been NFL players that said they played high. And maybe there will be. I don't know. But I do know that cannabis can help in recovery, and it can help in just a lot of other things. Plus, it's a great recreational substitute for alcohol. I still love having the odd beer, but man, I would love to see pro athletes get on a private team plane and grab some sort of cannabis. But sports, activity, whether it's recovery or preparation, whatever it is, sports for me is what pairs well with cannabis. So I'd love to hear from you on what you pair well with cannabis. And hit me up on any of our social media feeds or reach out cannabis101podcast@gmail.com. I just have to say, hello, George, hello, Mike, and hello, Dave. Three guys that have really been great at reaching out and chatting and asking questions. And I don't have nearly all the answers, but I can certainly hopefully point you in the right direction. So thanks to you guys in particular for being big fans of this show. I really appreciate the correspondence that I have, and I'd love to have even more with any of you that are out there. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Weed Weekly yet, make sure you do. Head to the cannabis101podcast.ca and subscribe to the Weed Weekly. It's a great way to keep up with what's going on with the show. If you missed anything during the week, we break it all down there. We throw in some special things and some fun little items. And we have a giveaway every Friday with the Weed Weekly. So we will be able to get you something as a subscriber. And I try to, I try not to let the same people win. So I do keep track of it, and I try not to let the same people win. But subscribe at the cannabis101podcast.ca. Get in the mix with the Weed Weekly. All right, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to get goofy with Shahbaaz and Erik on the other side of the Weed Song from the wonderful artist, My Dead Dog.
Smoke some grass. It's time to bust out this podcast.
This is the Cannabis 101 podcast, your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond.
As I welcome in a couple of guys from out east, I give them a view of what will welcome them if they ever make their way out to Alberta. All right, gentlemen, I'm proud to bring in Shahbaaz Kara and Erik Fonseca, the gentlemen that are with Spiffy, but also Shahbaaz is with Dutchie and Erik is with Detonate, and so we're going to get into all of that. But how exciting are you guys to see that snow for your future trip to Alberta this winter?
I'll be visiting in the summer, Dean.
All right. We've scared them away already with this. Yeah, that's my view for the next 6 months. So that's what I'll be looking at. But in all seriousness, guys, it is certainly great to have you both on board. We've had a lot of fun discussing this, and I really want to get to know your thoughts on the cannabis business. But I guess what I like to do is I like to start out with every one of my guests and kind of find out what they did before their career in the cannabis business, because unless you came right out of university, you probably did something before that. So Shahbaaz, let's start with you. What was your gig before you got into cannabis?
Yeah, Dean, lucky to be in cannabis, and my path is pretty not linear. I didn't come from CPG or anything like that. I, as some in the industry know, because I wear it on my sleeve, and you can see it right here. I came from Salesforce, spent 6.5, 7 years there, and then ended up at Lift & Co. as the head of sales. So came from technology into cannabis, and more thankful that was my path here. Love this industry. It's crazy.
Awesome. Erik, what about you?
Yeah, I'm like Shahbaaz, not a really typical background. I've gone from working and owning restaurants to working in energy conservation, and even managing gyms, and actually then also landed at Lift & Co. for the start of my cannabis career, and it's been a wild ride, and definitely wouldn't change it for the world, that's for sure.
All right, so Erik, what is it about cannabis that when and why did it become and why is it a part of your personal life? What do you love about the plant?
Yeah, I think I've personally seen a lot of the benefits from cannabis usage. Even more recent, seeing it in use in my family, and my grandmother using CBD, my mom as well, using CBD, and even parents kind of using cannabis to help them in health and wellness. And for me, it's been a great way for me to sort of detach and disconnect. So, I think that's why I'm definitely connected. I remember, being in high school and actually writing an article on why cannabis should be legal. And I got in trouble. It was a big issue.
Wow.
I almost got suspended. Parents were involved. And so it's always, I guess, been a chip on my shoulder. And as soon as it came to light that it was going to be a legal industry, I knew I knew it was where I'd end up. That's for sure.
That's awesome. So you knew back then that the benefits of the plant, and I guess it kind of it was illegal, but you were arguing for the legality of it. But thankfully, some minds have opened up quite a bit since then. Not all of them, but a lot of them since then.
Yeah, agreed. I think I'll be honest. Like, we wrote a great article, a great piece. It was on not only medicinally, but why for taxation reasons it would be great, and use cases like if many countries have decriminalized drug usage, and you actually end up seeing better results. You can think of Portugal as a great example. BC has a very progressive mindset around that, where even drugs that are much more impactful than cannabis, and how that can be better to help people than to put them in jail. So that was all points that we made, and amazing to think how that's progressed. I just wish I still had it. I have no idea where it is. I wish I could find it. I definitely framed that up, and I'd like to go back and see some of those teachers today, and maybe see if their opinions change, right? Or rub it in their face. One of the two.
Or smoke a joint with them. Maybe they're into it now, right? And that would be the ultimate. Shahbaaz, what about you? When did cannabis, why is cannabis part of your life?
First of all, I'd like to say, Dean, that you have an excellent voice, so we appreciate that.
Thank you.
And also, did anyone else just take in that Erik just said his essay that he got suspended for was great? Share the essay with the people, Erik. We'll determine if it's. I can't wait to see that essay. Dean, for me, a couple different reasons. Growing up in my household, there was some alcoholism with one of my uncles, and there was also cannabis use, and it was so misunderstood. The two of them were flipped completely. Alcohol, because it was legal, in Kenya, in Canada, by the government. It was okay that my uncle was drinking so much, but it wasn't okay that he was consuming so much cannabis, and that's where I kind of got to learn about it. And it was actually the cannabis that mellowed him out and helped combat that a lot. And years later, when we talk about that, that's what you tell me. And so I grew up in a very like sports, religion, school household. So cannabis wasn't a thing for me growing up. And I couldn't talk about it really only over the last 2 years. I've talked about, how my consumption habits and things like that. But so that was kind of my introduction to cannabis. And then I started to, learn a little bit more about cannabis, started to consume it for myself, started to understand that, I could try and achieve different outcomes and consume it habitually. And, we talked a little bit about cannabis for sports and
Mm-hmm.
recovery and creativity. And, whereas in university, I took a finance degree at Western, whereas everyone was cramming for these exams with Adderall and these terrible things that are bad for you. I was consuming cannabis and, being able to continue to remember the things that I was studying, but also I didn't feel like trash the next day. It didn't take anything away from me. In fact, it allowed me to continue being this human being. And so, yeah, I mean, I've had a love affair with cannabis for a long time. And I can't wait to explore the plant a little bit further.
That is wonderful stuff. So we're going to do things a little bit differently than we normally do, as we're going to dive into Dutchie and Detonate and Spiffy. We're also going to find out just how up you guys are on your cannabis movies. So I'm going to play a clip. Erik, this first one is for you.
All right.
What movie is that from?
That is Dazed and Confused.
All
That's
right.
Mr. Matthew McConaughey, I believe.
All right. I started you off with an easy one, so just
Easy one,
know
yeah, I'll take it.
they are going to get a little bit harder. So as we go, I'm going to weave those in. Shahbaaz, let's get into Dutchie. Explain what Dutchie is for those of you that don't know, even though they might be ordering using it, and what your role is with Dutchie.
Sure. So I'll start with the problem that Dutchie solves. So right now in the retail space, retailers are rushing to, get everything set up, and the regulations are hard enough. Retailers have to worry about, how they market, how they advertise, how they get dollars in the door, how they train their staff, a variety of different things, how they hire. So in the midst of all this, there becomes a gap, and a big gap around what these retailers need solved is, focus on technology. And so Dutchie helps bridge the gap for retailers and allow them to run a seamless e-commerce platform to collect orders via click and collect and, curbside pickup, as well as integrate with other partners of ours to help drive this, central kind of tech ecosystem. So again, Dutchie really powers the e-commerce and the click and collect aspect of it, democratizes that software for retailers big and small, and allows the retailers to focus on what they really should be focusing on, which is, a few of the other things I just mentioned earlier, while we take care of that back end technology to ensure that not only from the time a consumer can come on the website and get their order, but that order is actually in the back end POS and inventory system. And also, while simultaneously giving the retailer analytics and insights and all sorts of different things so that they can understand their consumer more, they can connect with their consumer more, while also, driving that revenue stream. So hope that kind of gave everyone a good understanding of what Dutchie does. But it's been a really fun ride working here, and I've learned a ton about the company, of course, but also their commitment to ensuring retailers are really doing well and can scale.
Well, what I love about it is that in the early days of cannabis, which is not that long ago, but when cannabis first came on, I would be driving around from store to store to try and find out what has what I was looking for. Now you can do that all from your phone. It's so much easier. So what's your role in Canada here with Dutchie?
Sure. So my role here in Canada is to help facilitate and drive the sales and the market expansion in Canada, while also ensuring that we have a Canadian presence that's allowing us to scale with the specific needs of the Canadian market. So Dutchie's an American company, and as a Canadian sales leader and Canadian sales manager, my role is to really make sure that our retailers feel satisfied with the solutions that we're offering, and that we're listening and we have ears on the ground to continue to innovate for our retailers, continue to launch new features, launch new products, and help them grow, help them drive more gross merchandising value. So we have a small but mighty team here in Canada, and it's only just growing and only just beginning.
All right, what movie is this from?
You mind if I do it, Jay?
You got to play that again.
You mind if I do it, Jay?
Oh, you didn't give me a layup like Erik got. Damn it. Erik's
Okay. This is like a very famous stoner. Maybe, one of the most famous stoners out there. He's very lazy.
You mind if I do it, Jay?
He likes to bowl.
He likes to bowl, eh? Dean, I'm not going to get this, man.
It's the dude, man.
I got it.
That's Lebowski, man.
Big
That's Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Oh, okay. Eric is winning this one for sure. Yeah. Okay, Shahbaaz, as I rattled you with that one, you guys have had some heavy hitters come on board with Dutchie as of late. Kevin Durant of the Nets, and Howard Schultz of Starbucks. Like, it's some really, really great experience and some obviously some dollars. What's the impact of that been, especially with Mr. Schultz?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you say it like that, Dean. There are some heavy hitters on board with Dutchie, and it's really cool to be a part of because number one, it signals to the greater the greater industry, but also outside of the industry that cannabis is here to stay for good, and a lot of individuals, a lot of big name human beings believe in that. And number two, having someone like Howard Schultz and Casa Verde. Really jump in and lead these rounds is it's pretty cool because Starbucks was able to scale at such a rapid rate, and they were the first to make coffee. They weren't the first to make coffee; they were the first to make coffee, specifically for you. And having that presence, having that leadership, having that kind of know-how, and then getting that investment allows us to take those best practices and kind of apply them to the cannabis industry, which is so exciting because, Dean, like you just alluded to, I remember like scrounging up $6 or $7, trying to hunt around for an extra $3 so that I could go meet a dealer outside to get, like a gram of cannabis. Right. and now there's this menu. Now you can order. Now you can get it delivered to you, not in Canada, but soon in Canada. Well, in some places in Canada, and soon it's going to come back in, Ontario and other places. But just think about how that buying experience has changed, and Dutchie being kind of the leader in facilitating that, and other people taking note, like Snoop, like Kevin Durant, like Howard Schultz. It's just an amalgamation, and it's really cool because it's such a diverse set of human beings. Like, in what realm is Howard Schultz, Kevin Durant, and Snoop Dogg all, congregating on something, and it's under the veil of cannabis technology, which is like dream world.
Yeah, that is the way you put that. That is great. Okay, Erik, I'm going to bring you back in for a clip here.
What are you people? On dope?
This is an older movie, and the main character in this movie, the stoner guy, went on to play a lot of really serious roles.
What are you people? On dope?
Got a guess?
Drawing a blank.
Shahbaaz, you want to steal?
We're not good stoner movie guys, are we, Erik?
Apparently not.
Clearly we work too much.
Yes, yeah,
I was going to say that. We work too much. I can't even think about any of it.
That's Mr. Hand from Fast Times at Ridgemont High talking to his class members. And, of course, Sean Penn is the main character that I was talking about. All right, Shahbaaz, one more on Dutchie. And what sets Dutchie apart than the other systems out there?
I'm actually writing a LinkedIn post on this right now, Dean. Wow, that's wild. There are a couple reasons. Number one, unequivocally leadership. Ross and Zach, the two brothers who founded Dutchie, have had a history of successful exits. So, just put it into perspective, Ross started and founded Grub Canada, which ended up selling to Just Eat. So, and then, early on in his life, his first kind of claim to fame was helping create Domino's online ordering system, which is wild because remember when you used to have to call Domino's and try and order pineapple and you'd be like, what? You're like, no, pineapple. So, it's crazy to see how things have changed. And so I came to Dutchy because of the technology, absolutely. But Ross is just an incredible leader who just knows how to create companies. He knows how to create great technology and great teams. And so number one, it's Ross. Number two, it's the commitment to the retailer. So everything we do is for the retailer. And why that's important is because it ensures that we have to be on top of what that consumer is thinking about so that we can then listen to that consumer and then provide feedback and different launches of features and things like that to retailers. So we only have one customer, and that customer is the retailer. And then the third reason that sets Dutchy apart is just our model. Yes, we have a smaller team in Canada. We have 130 people at Dutchy, but right from the get-go, from when you talk to someone on the sales team, you have someone every step of the way ensuring your success, whether it's through an onboarding manager, a customer account management team, our content team who are constantly talking with all the brands to make sure that we have all the assets. You really have kind of a white glove service, whether you're large, small, medium-sized retailer. And technology on the surface level can seem the same, but it's that back-end commitment with those three pillars that continue to ensure that we're driving for success. Because what a lot of people don't realize is cannabis retail isn't just a 4-month, 5-month, 6-month thing. It's a marathon if you want to stay in it, especially in such a competitive environment with everyone selling similar products. And so Dutchy understands that it's not just a sprint, and there will be sprints, but it's a marathon, and we're trying to build for the future. And that's what I think a lot of people need to consider when just evaluating technology partners in general. So if anyone's watching, there's my LinkedIn post. Thanks, Dean. Now I'm not going to post. There you go.
There we go. Awesome. Saved so much work for you. That's amazing. Okay, Erik, let's jump on to Detonate. Tell us a little bit about Detonate and what your role is with the company.
Sure. Yeah, so Detonate Group is a print and marketing materials company with a really heavy focus in the cannabis industry. At the end of the day, our goal is to help our clients bring their ideas to life, like from conception to execution. Much like Shahbaaz, the reason I think we're firstly a great company, and one of the major reasons I'm there is two great leaders there as well. Working for a guy by the name of Imran Khan, who's the CEO and founder of the company. He started it hustling and grinding, while he was as a side hustle when he was 10 years ago working in sales, and really grew it to an amazing company. So, great leader there. And then bringing in a gentleman like Tyler, who Tyler was the founder of Lyft and had an amazing ride and experience there, and brought Lyft to some amazing heights, and learned a lot, I'm sure, in his time spent there, and is helping us to apply it here at Detonate. So I think it's the vision of those guys that really helps as well to set us apart as a company. My role, I'm the VP of sales, and depending on sort of which day of the week you ask me that on, it can mean a variety of different things. But really, frankly, all I do is support and help to remove obstacles for a great team of individuals that work tirelessly to just overachieve for all of our clients. So and some days maybe that's mopping a toilet, and some days that's jumping on a sales call, but wearing many hats.
Mm-hmm. And you're in a kind of a field where there's some pretty strict regulations. So how has it been working within those strict regulations with Detonate?
Yeah, it's the regulations are definitely an interesting talking point, and whenever brought up in conversation. I think when I started in the industry, I probably had a different perspective on it, and of course saw it as a huge obstacle and a big roadblock, to be able to get out and reach consumers and speak to them. I'd have to say, my mind shift in that area has changed a little bit, and I think that it's actually an opportunity for really innovative thinkers and innovative organizations to stand out. There's numerous examples of fantastic marketers and salespeople out there that have been able to create really creative solutions, come up with some cool campaigns that work within the regulations and maybe push the limits a bit. And I think that that's the kind of cool, interesting side of these tight regulations. I definitely would like to think that we can bucket the team over at Detonate in that camp. But hey, at the end of the day, I mean, I definitely do wish we could do a lot more things, similar to other industries, which I think is coming in the future at some point. But it's been a bumpy, interesting ride. But again, my mentality is I think that creates an opportunity for a company just like Detonate to help, come up with some creative and innovative ways and market to consumers.
All right, Shahbaaz, are you ready for your next clip?
Give me it, Dean. I'm fired up. Let's go. Give me it.
There's no way you're getting it right.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
Dopest dope I've ever smoked.
The dopest dope I've ever smoked.
Yeah.
Dopest dope I've ever smoked.
This movie, the co-star of this movie is Canadian, a mega Canadian cannabis star and an actor.
Mega Canadian star and actor, right?
Yeah.
I think it's play it one more time for me, Dean. One more time.
Dopest dope I've ever smoked.
I think it's James Franco, I believe, in Pineapple Express would be my guest.
That is the answer. Final answer, and he gets it. All right. The game is tied. The game is tied. Okay, Erik, what is the 1-to-1 program with Detonate? I saw that on the site. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I think anyone owning, running, or working in the cannabis retail space can or a cannabis retail store can attest to the logistical headaches of getting marketing materials into stores. We saw a big opportunity to alleviate that by centralizing and simplifying the order process. So, this summer actually, and during COVID, our business pivoted and launched the 1-to-1 platform. And it's a free service to Canadian retailers that allows them to log in and into a central hub and order marketing materials from all of our brand partners with just a click of a mouse, and then have it delivered to their store in just a matter of days. We're currently representing 20 plus brands with a ton more to come, and been extremely well received by all of our early adopters and our retail partners to date.
Wow, it sounds like you guys are really busy. And also, if anybody has spent any time around you, they would realize you guys are the odd couple, because one person says one person says two, the other person says one. So I thought you guys must have grown up together. How did you guys meet? Because it seems like you guys have known each other forever.
What perspective do you want, Dean? Sure. Well, I think I told you this the other day, Dean, but at Lyft, when I walked in, I didn't really have many tools. I didn't have a playbook or anything along those lines. And for me, it was really about building strong teams. That's I'm actually not good at anything else other than trying to get the right people in the room so that they can actually solve all the problems. And so, when I was at Lyft, trying to build a team and thinking about our next steps, I just made our first hire, Brooke, and I was really looking for that next hire to come in and kind of be the leader. I always like to say that first account executive hire is so hyper important because they allow two things. They allow you to multiply success through them, and they can start to really take the reins and grow into their own. And then secondly, it allows you as the leader of that team to be an operator. And so I knew this role I was looking for was going to be critical, and interviewed a whole bunch of people and couldn't find it. And so, I decided to go completely on its head and hire Erik. No, I'm just kidding. Erik filled that role for me at Lyft. He was the best godsend hire I could have ever had. He came into the interview that first day. We got hired. We got referred through Nick Pateris, who was the VP of strategy around that time, and Erik and I just couldn't find some time to connect. Finally, we had a coffee, and then he came in. Suit, tie, shirt, on a hot. It was actually, when was it? Yeah, it was September.
Cold winter's day.
September, October. Pretty hot, pretty sunny. He was sweating. I don't know if he was nervous or not, and And he did a case study. I always make everyone do a case study. And I remember he did this case study, and he had pieces of paper. He didn't have a deck, no deck on the screen. Pieces of paper going through his deal review, and yeah, just right then and there, I knew he was the guy that I needed to hire, and our relationship took off from there. Believe it or not, I was his boss for 18 months, but we just developed such a friendship and such a respect for each other that we continued our relationship into a couple different areas, and I couldn't be luckier to be partners with him and friends with him.
Yeah, we're going to get into Spiffy right away, but man, Erik, you guys really are kind of the odd couple.
Yeah, we definitely vibe off each other. I think, speaking of that, like I show up in a suit, he was in sweatpants. Like it was the complete opposite. I was like walking to this house with like 30 people working in there, and I was like, what the fuck, what am I coming into? Sorry, excuse my French, but almost ran for the door. But we just vibe. Like we really, although we are maybe an odd couple, we think along some very similar patterns. We have both, continued to try and push limits and make ourselves better. And I think a really key thing that I kind of knew before I met Shahbaaz, but I really lean into is like, the accountability that he takes for almost everything, right? Like he was always willing to help. He's always, willing to get better. And if something didn't go right, it's like looking internally to see how you can fix and do something better. So, I think we really vibe on that. And the fact that we both like some cannabis and are kind of sales dudes, I think, as well, and love to hone our craft, and so we're always challenging each other a little bit. We definitely vibe on that for sure.
Okay, Erik, here is your next clip.
You're Scarface, right? Yeah. I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
Have you ever seen Son of a Woman on weed?
Weed, man. That is one of my favorite movies. That is Half-Baked, and that's even what's it? The guy from The Daily Show, John, and I'm missing his last name.
Stewart.
But, amazing, Jon Stewart. That's it. Yeah, fantastic clip, and definitely an absolute classic.
On
that
weed,
puts me up 2-1.
You are up to everything about Jon Stewart's character was on weed. So, okay, Erik, let's start with Spiffy then. So you guys meet, you guys become pretty good friends.
Yeah.
How does Spiffy come about? First of all, explain what Spiffy is and how the idea came about.
Yeah. So, Spiffy's a tool for retail, for training retail employees, whether it be like on product knowledge or company policies, could be, brand information or just even employee onboarding. And it's all done through an app. I think really the key behind the reason why it'll be successful is that it's adapting to the way we do things now. So it's information on like an Instagram style feed, it's right in your phone, it's right in your hand, and it's short clips of information in fun, engaging ways. So that's kind of what Spiffy is about. And the idea kind of came about, it was during COVID. Shahbaaz and I were both laid off at the point, mid-March, trying to figure out what to do next. Should we try and do our own thing? Should we stay in the industry? Should we look for new jobs? Should we wait? A lot of uncertainty. And so instead of being, I guess, stressed about the unknown, we decided like, let's find something, a task, a project we can jump into. We always saw the big gap between brand information and retailers, and trying to connect that and the whole broken system and the fragmentation that exists there. So, we stumbled across a company called Spiffy, of course, and they were looking for a foot in the door into cannabis, saw the opportunity for them, and really needed a couple guys who understood the space, who had some industry knowledge and had some connections and could act as advisors. So, picked it up in kind of mid-April, and been running with it since, doing some really cool things with the team over there, and looking forward to some amazing years to come, actually, as the industry continues to grow too.
Yeah, it's so neat to actually have the honor to have a video or two up there, and it really does teach you to pay attention when you're watching things. And speaking of paying attention, Shahbaaz, here is your next clip. Are you ready?
Oh, Dean, I'm ready.
Here it goes.
Back in the 60s, we used to smoking shit on the street. Cops didn't say nothing. Hell, he's getting high, too. Everybody was good. It wasn't a thing to do because it was a thing to do, It was a thing to do because it got you high. Can you dig it?
I feel you. Nah, that's why I'm doing it. I feel it. Man, you cool as shit, mister. I hate to do it, but I gotta charge you. That's $60.
60 bucks.
Yeah.
Man, I remember when a dime bag cost a dime. You know what I mean? You know how much condoms used to cost back in them days?
How much?
I don't know. We never used them.
All right. Do you know that movie, or at least the character or actor?
Tell me more, Dean.
Well, he's a very famous country singer, member of the Highwaymen.
Oh, come on.
Allegedly smoked a joint on the roof of the White House.
Eric, give me a hint here, man.
I'm just gonna steal the answer.
Eric's stealing it.
I'm stealing it, man. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Are you stealing?
Steal my answer.
Man, that's another. Isn't that another clip from Half Baked? That was Dave Chappelle talking to Willie Nelson. Man.
Indeed.
Is that right?
I knew it was Willie Nelson. I didn't know it was
Half Baked.
Had that.
Yeah.
Gone with my gut.
All right. Well, I'm going to allow you to redeem yourself. And what is the goal of Spiffy in the cannabis space? I mean, you know, I think either it's in the restaurants and things like that, but cannabis is, as we know, so very different, and it's in its own category. So what is the goal with Spiffy in the cannabis space, Shahbaaz?
Sure. So what Eric, I want to add on to what Eric said. So at the time we had a year and a half ago, I guess, or I guess it was a year and a half ago, we released CanCell, which CanCell was a government mandated, obviously retail training program for Ontario, but it was meant for training and obviously bud tenders, but they had to get the training done. But what we had tried to do at that time through Lyft was we had to try to put branded content on there, with the premise being that bud tenders could consume the information, frontline staff could consume the information from brands, and like Eric alluded to, just tighten the gap and bridge the gap between retailers and brands, especially with the trade marketing regulations. And so we launched with a couple brands, Indiva, Organigram, Pax, and they went well. It's just there was a couple challenges that had happened. Number one, by the time we had launched content with brands like Indiva or some of these other brands, their product portfolios and their marketing mixes has changed a little bit because there was new form factors out there. And so by the time we had created the modules and the content, they were fantastic, but they were out of date. And that's the thing about cannabis. Everything is out of date the moment it launches because there's something else coming forward in terms of product formats, in terms of categories, in terms of brands, in terms of whatever the case is. And secondly, the modules were 15 minutes long, and no one has 15 minutes to focus on one thing, let alone the time to focus on 15 minutes on one thing for 15 minutes. And if you're a retailer, do you pay that staff to do the extra training for that 15 minutes? And so it became a question of labor costs and things like that. And we wanted to be adding to the bottom line, obviously not taking away from it. And so with Spiffy, when I kind of learned about it, I learned about it back in January before, Eric and I got together to advise for them. And the reason I kind of learned about it is because they had come into our office to pitch us as the primary LMS for CanCell, but we had gone with something different, Totera. And so I'd always kept in touch with the founder, CEO of Spiffy, Chris Snoyer. And then, like Eric said, when the opportunity came up, it made sense. And the reason it made sense is because Spiffy's in hospitality today, but the way in which their content is delivered and the way in which it's formatted, it's very easy, and it puts the onus in the hands of not only the retailer but the brand itself. And so let me kind of tell you what I mean. So at the primary function for a retailer is Spiffy is their learning management system. And so, in restaurants, Milestones, for instance, would need to train their frontline staff on the specials of the day, or internal standard operating procedures, like where to go after your shift, or new Corona measures and things like that. And so then what Spiffy started to do is they started to feed brand content like Molson through to to milestones, and that milestone staff would consume that content. But the premise of that content is it's micro format, so it's 2, 3, 4-minute modules, either video or PDF based, with an adjacent quiz attached to it, so that we can help retailers answer the question of how do you know, right? So how do you know that your staff has understood what the specials are today? How do you understand that the staff knows the coronavirus protocols, whatever the case is? And so when we saw that, we saw, it's really easy to create content. And so LPs, retailers, whomever is creating the content can make sure it's relevant content because it's easy to create. You can take it from your iPhone, or it can be professionally done. And then number 2, it's quick hit modules with consumption metrics attached to it to answer that question. And so when we brought it into Cannabis, it was primarily for LMS, learning management system for retailers. But because of the trade marketing regulations, it works so well because now brands can feed content to retailers, pick the specific retailers they want to feed content to, pick specific roles within the retail environment that they want to send content to, and now ensure that it can be consumed. They can get metrics back, and so that they can start to understand what that ROI is on that content that's being produced. And because the thing right now is that there's such a mind share war for frontline staff, between frontline staff and brands. Every brand wants those bud tenders to sell their brand because there's such a crowded space, and these trade marketing regulations are so crazy. And so Spiffy helps solve that problem. And where we're going next is really ensuring that we're tightening up the communication between brands and retailers. And Erik and I always talk about this, and we always write about this on platforms like LinkedIn, but there's a huge communication gap between brands and retailers. And so if we can kind of be the middleman middle human helping the brands connect the retailers, ensure that these frontline staff have the most up-to-date information, and that they're being trained on it. That way, when I go into a store, my mom goes into a store, whomever goes into a store, they can actually get the knowledge that brand wants them to consume, because they can't get it from anywhere else, because there's such restrictions. So that was a really long-winded answer. I apologize, but hope that...
No, but it's interesting when I watch some of the videos. Even some, I've watched some of the other videos from the is it the Ontario? Is it the retail or is the provincial government? But anyway, I was looking at some of the. Yeah, OCS, that's what I was looking for. It actually teaches it. I don't know. It forced me to pay attention a little bit more, and I found I actually retained the information a whole lot more. So I like that. Shahbaaz, I'm actually giving you an opportunity here to get back in the game with this clip. Okay, are you ready?
Yes. I need to watch more movies.
Here we go. This is actually a TV show, by the way.
That is not appropriate behavior, okay?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mackey, okay?
That's okay. Just don't let it happen again.
We won't let it happen again, Mr. Mackey, okay?
What's that?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's South Park. Okay, yeah, that's Mr. Mackey.
Now choose the episode. Which episode?
I'm back, baby. He's
drugs
back.
are bad. Okay.
Layup.
It was a layup. I will admit that, but I wanted to make it close. It's 3-2 here. So, okay. So the feedback, Erik. Let's talk about some of the feedback, because I just mentioned some of the feedback that I found from watching this. What are you guys hearing about the information that people are trying to get out into the cannabis space?
Sure. Yeah. So feedback from Spiffy users is great. Love the experience, but I think really the feedback I've heard over my time in cannabis is just like how difficult. Like there's just this lack of an easy way to find accurate and digestible brand information. Shahbaaz and I have been through research reports and have had the experience to talk to a variety of different retail employees, bud tenders, whatever the moniker you want to use is, and the leaps and bounds they have to go through to find information is crazy. Even going through an experience, and I don't know, we're probably a little harder on a bud tender than maybe the typical consumer, but we like to ask some tough questions because we want to understand, right? And so, there's this even a fear from them because they're not properly empowered with the right information in addressing questions from consumers and trying to educate people and layer on top of that a lot of the regulations and the restrictions they have and what they can even talk about. So that inability to get that information, I think, is probably the most feedback I've gotten from both sides, right? And this is not like to knock the brands or LPs. It's an extremely difficult process to gain the distribution they need to put out marketing material. I've seen a lot try, and again, you have the same issue with, creating 25 different platforms for somebody to go visit to gain the information. It's difficult. They have to have 25 logins. They have, 25 different times they got to get connected. So not having it in a centralized place is very difficult. And then the unfortunate part is if they have misinformation, they'll inevitably trickle it down to the consumer. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And again, not to blame a bud tender. It's probably the lack of our part of the industry in general for not providing them with the information in an easy and safe way. So that to me is sort of the most interesting and the feedback we really need to continue to build on. And that's, just a lack of an easy and correct platform for retailers, and then of course the bud tenders or the employees there to gain the information that they need.
Yeah, and if people want information, withspiffy.com is where you can check it out and find out some more information. Okay, before we wrap it up.
Nice plug.
Yes, I try. I've done this one or two times before. Before we wrap up with what you guys think is the next big thing in legalization, this could be the game here. Erik, if you get this, Erik, Shahbaaz is done. If you do not get this, Shahbaaz has an opportunity to steal. Are you ready?
Kind of grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it? Kind of grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
I'm gonna need.
Kind of grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
All right, this is another Canadian cannabis legend. The godfather of Canadian cannabis entertainment in probably the most famous cannabis movie ever made.
Oh, I'm looking at Shahbaaz and it feels like he knows it.
Shahbaaz just wants to jump in there. I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shahbaaz?
I'm coming up blank.
Shahbaaz, you have a chance to steal.
I feel like I know it, but I don't. I'm just going to go. I got nothing to lose. Maybe like Up in Smoke?
Winner! He ties the game. That is Tommy Chong. Grabs you by the boo-boo. Okay, so you guys are now tied. We are going to wrap up after this next question with the and this. I'm just going to play a clip. Whoever answers first will get it. But first of all, Shahbaaz, what do you think is the next big thing in legalization in cannabis?
Like just globally, domestically.
It could be in Canada, it could be around the world, whatever you think. Just the next big thing with cannabis, possible legalization.
Sure. So I think like just really quickly, just on that point that you hit on with Erik, because I think it ties into this, is like a centralized place of cannabis learning for the industry is so needed. So like what Spiffy's trying to be is like the Netflix of cannabis learning, or the Instagram of cannabis learning. Where you can combine educational resources on brands with educational resources on emotional intelligence and a variety of different things. And so as we grow together and as this industry is tight knit, continues to expand, I think we'll get into obviously some mass commercialization, and a big piece of mass commercialization that I think that we need to embrace with legalization and just cannabis in general is definitely consumption lounges. We can talk about delivery and we can talk about a variety of different things to actually get the cannabis in individuals' hands. But, looking past that just in this realm is if we really want to make sure that we're strengthening the fight on alcohol, we got to allow people to consume it in safe places and actually purchase on premise and get together and explore together. I mean, cannabis is still taboo. It's still, so terribly looked down upon in so many different ways in so many different regions. I mean, cannabis does not get any of the same treatment that alcohol does. And alcohol is terrible for you. Cannabis is amazing for you. And so just being able to consume it in a place, or maybe like you go to a bar and there's cannabis beverages and drinks. I mean, just having the choice and having the option for people to explore themselves and facilitating that through consumption lounges and different environments like that, I think is absolutely a place cannabis needs to get to and move towards quicker than later. And it still kind of perplexes me that we can't do anything like that.
I'm with you on that one. Erik, what do you think about the next big thing in legalization in Canada or around the world?
Yeah, I'm going to maybe just focus on Canada. I think kind of like continuing off that thread, that Boz was sort of talking about. I think it's the loosening of marketing regulations. If you think about the fact that I can see a Coors Light commercial on TV, there's how many different billboards around for health and wellness products. I think that's a real, although, cigarettes, again, being pushed back a bit, you still got tons of branding and marketing you're allowed to do even for cigarettes before. So I think, that loosening up is going to be key. We talk a lot about destigmatization and breaking down those sort of barriers and educating people. It's definitely hard to do all of that without having those same access and tools and channels to the masses, which is advertising on TV, which is marketing campaigns like that. So I'd say, and I do believe that those will change. I think we took a very conservative approach to the marketing regulations in the short term. Nobody really knew what to expect. So I think, uncharted waters like that was like err on the side of caution. But I think over time it will loosen and it'd be cool one day to see whatever it might be, a Canopy, an Aurora, an OGI, whatever it is, big billboard driving down the street and maybe a commercial for, I don't know, whatever, let's say for Houseplant on TV as from their new beverage that's got a cool flavor. So I think that's going to be a key thing for legalization because, again, over time, we're going to have these people growing up who it's just normal. It's normalized for them now, the next generation coming in. So
I'll go one step further than a commercial. What about instead of Rogers Place, there's San Rafael Place? Like why can't an arena be named after a cannabis brand or something like that? Like let's the way I look at it is our government looked at some other places that said, do whatever you want, and then started taking it away. And I use this a lot, so people that listen to this show are probably like, enough, Millard, we've heard this before. But Canada, I think, has this giant balloon, and they're just letting it out a little bit at a time. So it's not like, if you ever take a toy away from a kid, they freak out. And if you just let everybody do everything in cannabis and then started telling them, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this, we would have riots in the streets because it'd be like, hey, man, you just let us do this and that. So I think that's what our government has done, is little bit at a time. And I think, like you, the regulations will loosen, but it'd be amazing to see cannabis on stadiums and Super Bowls and things like that. Like it's coming. We think it's slow, and the people after us will just have all the benefits. So we're kind of the people in the cannabis space right now are kind of the pioneers that are like doing the hard work for those to follow. But hopefully we'll be able to benefit it as well, right? Like that's what we got into this for. We all want to live, but we want to take this movement forward.
It's going to be so interesting to see.
Imagine
sports team. Sorry, go ahead, Erik.
I was just gonna say, imagine one day a Super Bowl commercial for a big cannabis company, talking about sports teams, right? Like, imagine, it'd be unbelievable.
Yeah. Did he just interrupt and he just stole your thunder, didn't he, Shahbaaz? That's exactly what you were gonna say.
That's honestly verbatim exactly what I was gonna say. So,
hey, Dean, I won the game. Then just call it.
This is the last question, okay? The first person, okay, I don't want you talking. Nobody can say anything. If you have the answer, this is like class again. Okay, this is school. If you have the answer, raise your hand. I will stop the clip, then you can answer. If you answer incorrectly, though, your opponent gets to hear the entire clip and answer.
And the person who answers incorrectly has to turn around and face the other way.
Okay. Put a dunce cap on their head, sit in the corner. Okay, here is your clip. In 3, 2, 1.
Get out of here, Dewey.
What are y'all doing in here?
We're smoking reefer. And you don't want no part of this shit.
You're smoking reefers?
Yeah, of course we are. Can't you smell it?
No, Sam. I can't.
Come on, Dewey. Join the party.
No, Dewey. You don't want this. Get out of here.
You know what? I don't want no hangover. I can't get no hangover.
It doesn't give you a hangover.
Well, I get addicted to it or something?
It's not habit forming.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Eric, chime in.
Man, I can name the actors and the name of the movies like getting away from me, but it's like,
dude, they said part of the name of the movie in the clip like 3
Dewey.
times.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's Dewey.
It's what?
It's Dewey something. Dewey Mike. What the fuck is it called?
Yeah, 5 seconds, or else Shahbaaz can steal.
Oh my
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shahbaaz?
The Dewey movie.
Do you have an answer, Shahbaaz?
Okay.
This is possibly the least riveting TV production.
Oh my God, I know. Dukes of Hazzards? No.
Okay, you guys both lost. You're both tied, rather. That's Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. John C. Reilly and Tim Meadows from Saturday Night Live.
Tim Meadows.
That's it. Tim Meadows, yeah. And anyway, this has been a lot of fun. And listen, I've had a blast getting to know you guys. I'm looking forward to being involved more with Spiffy and who knows, maybe what else. You guys should get your own sitcom. That's what you guys should do, first of all. But man, thank you so much for joining me. Certainly best of luck with everything that you guys have going on. Once again, the website withspiffy.com. Check out Dutchie and Detonate, where these two gentlemen have their full focus, and then they tackle with Spiffy. It's just amazing what you guys are doing. Shahbaaz, Erik, thanks so much for spending some time on the Cannabis 101 podcast. As I expected, you tied, and then you guys both just like crapped the bed on that final answer. So I have nothing else to say other than thank you. I'm a little bit disappointed in your movie skills, but I'm really excited to have gotten to know you guys. Thanks so much for joining me on the Cannabis 101 podcast today.
We appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
Thank you.
This is the Cannabis 101 podcast, your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond.
All right, that was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was the first time we've done that. And man, do those guys suck at their weed movie trivia or what? So Erik, Shahbaaz, we're gonna bring you back at some point. You're gonna have to really improve on that stuff. But anyway, and make sure you check out One Hitters with these guys later in the week, featuring Erik and Shahbaaz as we get to know their cannabis history. You can find it, as well as full episodes, at the Cannabis 101 podcast.ca. You can find them at www.withspiffy.com, and you can subscribe at the Cannabis 101 podcast to the Weed Weekly. And again, that was a lot of fun for sure. And so is this going to be a lot of fun.
You got a joint? No, not on me, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Time now for Cannabis Characters.
Dopest dope I've ever smoked.
Celebrating the best from fictional 420 film.
Hey, I am your stoner.
And beyond.
Heavy girl with that, man. Is it heavy stuff, man?
All right, so this week on Cannabis Characters, I am featuring a character that I don't know if I would say I grew up with the character, but as a young pothead in my late teens, I fell in love with Cheech and Chong. I thought it was just hilarious, and so did a lot of my friends, and we recited a lot of the lines, and this character came up a lot. I'm talking about Strawberry, who is played by Tom Skerritt, and this is the movie Up in Smoke with Cheech and Chong. So Strawberry is Cheech's cousin, and Cheech and Chong are on this mission to find weed. At one point, they are on one side of the street. They just do a U-turn and go into another house. It's just absolutely silly, the little things that happen. But Strawberry is his cousin, so they go to find some ganja from him because there is this massive shortage or whatever. So Cheech, before they go in there, gives him the old warning. Listen, man, don't look, don't say anything about his neck. He's got a birthmark there. He tends to freak out. He was in Vietnam, and he came back very differently. So he says, hey, whatever you do not say anything about his neck.
Oh, yeah, well, we were stopping by to see if we could score some smoke, man. You know, like, we've been all over the neighborhood, you know, and nobody's gotten none, you know. And so, like, we was wondering maybe if we could score some smoke from you, man.
Smoke?
Yeah.
Smoke, you want some smoke? Yeah, I'll get you some smoke, man.
All right. Yeah, we could score some smoke from him. I told you, man, we could.
What you looking at, man?
Oh, no, nothing. I wasn't looking, I wasn't looking at his neck, man.
Your friend better stay here, because we're going to go see some people of mine. And they don't like strange dudes. They don't fuck around.
Well, I'll stay here.
Ah, look at that, man. The great outdoors, huh?
Yeah, great outdoors.
Claymores.
What?
Claymores. Give me a pass at last touch there and jettison me into the patties.
What are you talking about, patties, man? Ain't no patties. They're just Chicanos, man. What are you talking about?
You strike that line, chatter grunt. If you deploy a little recon, you'd see that Charlie has us surrounded.
Charlie? Oh, man, it's a cop. Strawberry, they're on your pad, man. They're gonna bust your pad. Hey, Strawberry? Oh, man, you flipped out on one of your Vietnam trips, man? Hey, hold on to your thing, man. God,
look, you take the point. I'll take the rear. If you need air, call it in.
All right, so that is Tom Skerritt playing Strawberry in Up in Smoke. And Tom Skerritt has probably been in more than you know when you're watching him. He was in MASH. He was in Top Gun. A River Runs Through It with Brad Pitt. He was also in some classic old shows, Gunsmoke in the late 60s and 70s. And if you're a fan of Cheers, he was Evan Blake. And Cheers fans would certainly know what I'm talking about in that case. So that is Strawberry, played by Tom Skerritt in Up in Smoke as our Cannabis character today.
This is the Cannabis 101 podcast, your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond.
All right, I want to tell you that the presenting sponsor for the Cannabis 101 podcast is Stonesmiths, and you can find out more information at stonesmiths.ca. Who are they? Well, they are the makers of the Slash, which is right here, this gorgeous pen on-the-go concentrates. It's sleek, it's discreet, and it's got so many great functions. 3 temperature settings, just 1, 2, 3, gives you clicks through the 3 temperature settings. It also has this awesome 12-second auto fire mode where you just double click. I'm going to get the right temperature setting for the shatter that I have in there. So yeah, you just double click on the button and boom, you wait 4 seconds for it to fire up. 2 seconds it fires up, and then you are free to hit it. Yeah, I love this thing. It is so very convenient. You can find it at Green Rock Cannabis in their St. Albert and Lethbridge locations, as well as Uncle Ron's in Edmonton and Northern Light Supply in Edmonton as well. And you can find out more information at stonesmiths.ca. Have you seen the Slash?
What's that strain? Let's find out with Chris Ianson, Nova Cannabis store manager and educator.
educator and the manager of the Nova Cannabis store on Jasper Ave, Chris Ianson, joining me as usual for What's That Strain. How are things, buddy?
Going really well, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Glad that you could be here, and we are, of course, going to explore another cultivar, and we want to tell you that if you are heading out to a Nova Cannabis store, please use the click and collect method. It is much safer for you because it's less time for you, the consumer, in the store. And Chris, I know it helps to protect the staff at all Nova locations as well.
Yeah, that's right, Dean. Just with what's going on in the world, we're just trying to limit time spent in stores. So, yeah, check it out.
Click and collect. Use the Leafly website and you're on your way. You can grab some lemon skunk from Strain Hunters, and this is a hybrid cultivar. So this is not from what we would traditionally say an LP. Well, it's actually from Thumbs Up brand, which is under the Trek brand umbrella. So maybe just kind of give us the insight into how Thumbs Up and Trek brands gets it done.
Yeah, totally, Dean. So, they started in 2018. Trek Brands. Their CEO and founder is Trang Trinh, and she partnered up with Charles Kabuth and Bassem Hanna back then, and I think they were university friends. And they like you said, they don't grow their own stuff. They're more like purveyors. They go out and they seek out sought after genetics from respected growers, and they package it up and sell it through their appropriate branding. So it's very cool. Trek stands for Trust, Respect, Equality, and Compassion. So it's a real neat company. And they also do that, the 10% for good too, which we've talked about before, where they, 10% of their profits go back. So very, very cool company for sure, Dean. Also, I'm a big fan of the Trek Brands rep, Jaden Caldwell. He's one of my favorite reps to deal with. Had some really good phone calls with him. He's very knowledgeable, very passionate about cannabis, and he's always got cool new info for me. So big ups to Jaden. He helped me out with some real cool info for today.
Awesome, that is good. So we're talking about Thumbs Up, and we'll get into maybe what the Strain Hunters means in a little bit. But when we talk about Thumbs Up, they're under the Trek brand. What else do they have going on?
Yeah, so right now they've got 3 brands. They've got Wink. It's a recreational brand. It's high-end, sought-after genetics. They've got Blist, which is a female-friendly brand. It's CBD and balanced oils. And then the Thumbs Up brand, which we're talking about today, is for the cannabis connoisseur. It's better buds, better price, better brand. I've got this Better Vibes sticker from them that they sent me a couple of them. I put them up all over my condo, all over my store. It's just great. Why not have better vibes? You see that sticker and it just makes you smile.
That is indeed. That's why I surround myself with stickers and pins. So I always feel a whole lot better. And one way that they make a lot of other people feel good as well is their 10% for good. So I know you mentioned it earlier, but explain what that is.
Yeah, so within the Trek brands, all 4 brands, Wink, Thumbs Up, List, and Trek brands, 10% of their profits they donate back to the community. Which is amazing. I've never heard of another company kind of doing it like this, and they're very proud of it, and they should be. And recently they kind of owned in on their 10% for good, and each brand is actually donating to like specific areas. For example, the Trek is donating their 10% profits to environmental organizations, which is a huge obvious concern, and that's great. Wink is donating to help homeless and hunger. So another big thing there. And Thumbs Up is donating their 10% to cannabis amnesty groups, which is great because I'm sure we've got a ton of people that are serving prison time for cannabis related offenses, and it's a real legal excellent plant. It shouldn't be there.
It's crazy, but hopefully, and some of this 10% is going to go on and
hopefully it helps,
help out with some of those people. And then there's more coming from Trek in the future as well.
Yeah, totally, Dean. So what we're going to see from them from Wink, there's a wedding cake, dried flower that's coming out. Big fan of that cultivar. It is tasty. And it's going to be about 24% THC and about 3% of terpenes.
Wow. 3% is pretty high.
That is super high. And it's actually stuff that's grown by Freedom Cannabis here in Atchison, Alberta, just outside of Edmonton. And those guys are doing great things over there too. Wedding cake is amazing. Worth checking out. The fact that it's 3% terps is, I'm all over that. Thumbs Up is going to have a garlic Z that's going to be coming out to market soon.
Okay.
We're talking about it's at 4% terps, is mentioned on that, and a notable garlic flavor, which Jaden was telling me about. And I'm not the biggest garlic fan, but he reassured me, it's mixed. It's like pine and it's woodsy as well. It's not just bam garlic, but it's a really interesting cultivar there, and I feel like the 4% terps would be great.
Okay, yeah, we should put out a warning, though. If you're a vampire, you should probably stay away from this definite cultivar with all that garlic. You will probably die.
Yeah.
So, they always say cannabis has never killed anybody, but if there are vampires, well, they're already dead, so they don't count as statistics. So, vampires, just buyer beware if you're going after the garlic Z. Trek brand seems like a cool idea, and then they get to kind of pick and choose, and sounds like a cool company to get behind.
Yeah, for sure, Dean. Overall, I'm very down with Trek Brands. I got to meet some of their people at the Canadian Cannabis Awards last year. And they had a nice crew of people there, and they were my kind of people. It was awesome.
All right,
big fan of the brand.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some history when it comes to lemon skunk in particular. And for those watching, you get a nice view of how gorgeous this is. So, what's the lineage behind this lemon skunk?
So you say this lemon skunk,
yes.
and that's just it, Dean. We've talked about like DNA genetics lemon skunk before, and it's a different take on lemon skunk.
Have some of that here, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, this is the Strain Hunters lemon skunk, and it's a cross of a skunk number 1. Which is 3 land races crossed together. It's Afghani, Mexican, and Colombian. And so it's skunk number 1 crossed with Citral, which is a Pakistani indica. So real nice kind of skunky, and then the Citral kind of brings that citrusy kind of lemon zest to it.
Now, can you just explain the Strain Hunters, or do you want to save that for later?
Yeah, I'll quickly get into it. The Strain Hunters was, a group of guys, Aryan Roskam, Franco Lojas, and they traveled the remote areas of the world, tracking down rare genetics of cannabis and bringing them back to Amsterdam at their greenhouse seed company. And so just kind of legends. They've been a part of a lot of interesting genetics and played a big role.
Right. So people, when they see Strain Hunters, know that this comes from some pretty big names, some serious names. One unfortunately passed, but some really strong background. So I just wanted people to know, if you see something with Strain Hunters, you should be very impressed and very excited about what you're going to get.
No doubt, Dean. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
It's like royalty of cannabis.
It totally is.
And Aryan Roskam is the king of cannabis, so yeah, it is royalty.
What a nickname. So this is interesting, though. So we've got this genetics that you think it's actually for you. It was a little bit different because everybody is a little bit different when it comes to cannabis. Everybody is unique, like a snowflake or a fingerprint. Yeah. But also, there's another good reason behind why that might have been the case.
Yeah, right. So on Thumbs Up website, they kind of list the lemon skunk as a 60% indica and a 40% sativa. It's kind of, I went in there, that's what I was expecting. When I smoked it, I felt it was the opposite. I definitely felt more heady, sativa, buzzy effects from it. So it felt to me like a 60-40 sativa leaning. And when I was talking with Jaden about that, I mentioned to him that's kind of how I felt, and we discussed the idea of the dominant traits can vary from batch to batch, and that can vary based on the terpene concentration. So a previous batch of lemon skunk could be higher in myrcene,
right.
A terpene kind of known to be a little bit more sedative. And the sativa dominant lemon skunk could be maybe less myrcene, but more limonene, which is the citrus kind of terpene we talk about a lot, but that's known to be a little bit more of an uplifting kind of energetic. It can provide bursts of energy. So with this batch, and we talked about it, and I said I've got the 23% stuff. And he kind of mentioned that it's likely that we've got more limonene in this batch.
All right, so that's very cool. And we mentioned the Strain Hunters, so we kind of gave the background. But this lemon skunk that Trek sells was grown by Agri Farms out of Creemore, Ontario.
Yeah, totally. And they're a neat company. They're founded. They're an LP. They were founded in 2013. They are co-owned by Slang Worldwide, Canopy Growth, and Greenhouse Seed Company. So yeah, Aryan Roskam is one of the owners of Agri Farms, and they have the exclusive Canadian rights to the genetics from the Greenhouse Seed Company. So that's really cool. That's where why we're getting to see the strain hunter. So I think that's a super awesome partnership for Trek Brands to get involved with, and with the Greenhouse Seed Company, they're the most awarded and recognized cannabis brand in the world to the North American market. They've won over 40 High Times Cannabis Cups and over 200 awards for their top genetics, establishing them as leaders in the industry.
Wow, that is so impressive. They are they're basically the Canadian World Junior Hockey team. They're just the top of the collective. When it comes to cannabis, they're number one. They're the most decorated and everything. I'm trying to relate to people like how dominant this company is, and that's what I can think of. Well, maybe the dream team in basketball, maybe, I'm not sure, but dominance is what, they really are worldwide leaders, and not in pants like David Letterman. So pretty impressive stuff. The website, when you want to check it out, is thumbsupbrand.com. It's very blue, definitely very blue. Basic information. Maybe they're gonna spruce it up a little bit, but it's pretty basic.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I'm a big fan of the Thumbs Up branding.
Yeah.
I like they've got this like kind of like it looks like a Mickey Mouse glove with the thumbs up, but it's the vivid colors and all the marketing material that we've seen in the stores have been it pops and it really sticks out in the store. So
and that's when you go to the website.
Yeah,
it really does for sure. So this batch that I picked up, this 3.5 gram, is 22.9% THC, and we'll tell you where that fits on our scale in a little bit. What's in the name with lemon skunk?
Yeah, so it's named after the genetics and the flavor and the aroma. So it's it's got skunk. It's skunk cultivar with lemon notes to it. Pretty generic or a basic name here.
Okay,
nothing too fancy.
And as far as the look, and we'll give our viewers a look at what the packaging comes in, and pretty standard white tub packaging. Like a lot in cannabis, could be a lot smaller, and I'm sure will over time. I know there's a lot of stuff that they're regulated to put on the packaging, so that does take up space, but we have seen some smaller packaging than this.
Yeah, we have, Dean, for sure. I feel like you could probably fit a 7 or maybe even a 15 in that tub too, depending, I guess, the density of your cannabis. But, it does, like you said, it's got all the required... labels, warning and stuff.
And it's got a lip.
Yeah, it does have a lip. But it came with a Bovita pack,
It does, yeah.
Which was super nice, too, to keep things fresh.
You know what? Honestly, if I had to trade between a Bovita pack to make sure it's fresh and having a lip, I would give that up. If I only could, I'd love to have both. I love to be greedy, and I'd love to have both. But if I had to only pick one, I'd rather my cannabis be fresh, and then I'll work a little bit harder to get it out.
Yeah.
Right? So
totally.
Okay, as for the actual look of this, what do you see?
So for me, it was nicely trimmed buds, 2 tones of green, a light green and a dark green, darker orange pistils, and a really nice trichome coverage too. Looked really nice under my little magnifying glass that I've got. So I was a big fan of the lemon skunk.
Okay, the Trichome City for sure, as you mentioned. What'd your nose tell you?
Yeah, so with the nose, it was definitely fresh. It was the kind of the first thing when I smelled it was
healthy. I thought this is healthy cannabis. Like it's at there are some things you open and it's like dank and really, and sometimes with a skunk you expect it to be really. It was really a nice, light, healthy smell.
Yeah, it was, Dean. I got a little bit of like pepper to it, so a little bit of kind of spice, a little bit of sweet. But yeah, didn't get a much skunk from it, but I thought it smelled really nice.
I totally agree. All right, the terpene profile in this one. What are the 4 top terpenes that you have?
Yeah, I got 4. We're going to talk about Dean.
There we go.
Caryophyllane's the dominant one. That's black pepper and spice.
And you smelled that, right?
Yeah,
right. So you know something's in there.
For sure. Myrcene's next, and that's kind of the earthiness. It's also found in mangoes. We got humulines in there too. We can find that in cloves, basil, and hops. And then limonene is the 4th one, and that's obviously with the lemon skunk. It's you're going to have the limonene in there. So that's our citrus and kind of fruity. Perhaps, Dean, though, limonene might be a little bit further up on this particular batch, though.
Could be too,
in terms of like dominant terpenes.
Yeah,
because we've got myrcene as number 2. And these are details based off of the website.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting. Do you ever eat a mango when you get high? People talk about the myrcene and the mango, and they can go together and complement. I tried it once. I didn't notice much of a difference. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
I actually haven't. I've had friends that have tried it, and like you, they hadn't really quite noticed it.
Okay.
So I haven't really heard of anyone, like I haven't had a friend, I've seen stuff online, but I haven't had a friend be like, it works.
Yeah, go do it.
Yeah.
Buy every mango you have. Okay, so that's the terpene profile, and just really quickly, maybe explain, give an overview of terpenes. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, for sure, Dean. So terpenes, they're aromatic oils. They secrete from the cannabis glands. They're what give your cannabis an aroma and a flavor. So like we've been talking about limonene, it's going to make your buds smell citrusy. It's going to have it in the taste. And then there's also effects that can be associated with certain terpenes. And obviously it affects very person to person.
That's right.
We all have different endocannabinoid systems, but with limonene, it's known to be a little bit more uplifting. Myrcene, as we mentioned, is a little bit more sedative and chill. Definitely a big part about cannabis, though, guys. It's not just all about THC and CBD. Terpenes play a big factor in that end desired effect of what you're looking for.
Right, and we used to call it desired effect on this show, but we changed it to your experience because everybody is a little bit different. We can kind of generalize, but this is a really good example of how everybody is different, because you get more of a sativa uplifting effect from this when it's kind of generalized as a more indica leading hybrid. So what was your experience?
Yeah, so for me, Dean, like you said, definitely sativa leaning for sure. I found it to be like a warm, heady high,
Nice.
which that was noticeable.
Comforting almost?
I guess, yeah, like a warm bath,
like a
on the
warm
head.
blanket around your head?
Yeah, it was.
It tucked you in, Chris, at the end of the night.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's 2020. I needed it. So nice, warm, heady high. With some body effects.
Okay.
I would say though, I did my physical assessment when I hit this, and I'll usually stand up, after I put the joint out and kind of go for a walk and, shake things up a bit, and I still had some stiffness, so typically an indica will numb me out a little bit more. But it put me in a great mood. I did a lot of goofy stuff. It was a lot of fun.
All right, so that brings us to the 3 W's. Who, what, and when is this good for?
So it's good for, not for beginners, due to the high THC. I don't think that, someone just getting into cannabis should jump into this. I think intermediates and up, even like a 2.5 and up.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3.
Yeah, for sure. It just got my head racing a lot. What it's good for? Creative projects. I did some graphic design on it and had some fun. Also cleaned the house. But it was also good for chilling out, watching movies on the couch. I've said this before, Lemon Skunk is kind of a set and setting type of hybrid for me, where, it's hit me sativa dom. I start my day and I've had I'm well rested, but it's also, after a long day at work, it's been, pretty chilled out too. So, when it's good for me, this batch that I got, it was great for a wake and bake. I started my day off a few times with it. It was really nice. I think most any time of day, just maybe not right before bed. But again, that's for me for this batch. I mean, that could, be just great for someone else. All right, Dean, looks like he's getting the volcano filled up. That's a big, foggy bag.
A gold member ready to go here. I love gold.
I love gold.
That's a keeper.
I don't know how you think my gold member impersonation is. Okay, so I'm going to do the old taste test. Tell us a little bit about what you tasted as I give this a run.
Yeah, totally, Dean. For me, I found there was like two sides to the taste. There was definitely a sweet and a citrus component to it, and then there was a spicy and earthy. I found it to be very smooth.
Earthy, really?
Earthy, yeah.
Really earthy, yeah.
Yeah. I found it very smooth. I was consuming it in joints. That's usually my go-to. But I found the joints to burn smooth to the end. Not a lot of coughing too, which is nice.
Well, like they said on Family Guy, everything is better with a bag of weed. And that's what I got a bag here from the Volcano Gold original. It's the anniversary, so it is very, very smooth for sure. And it looks really good as well. I can't get over how good this looks. Okay, so tell us a little bit as we move on to our secondary topic now. And I should probably bring the mic a whole lot closer. You guys have a big PAX era sale going on right now.
Yeah, that's right. A big bundle sale going on where the era batteries are on sale, as well as all of our pods are kind of one just flat price. It's a really nice price. And we've got the PAX Era Pros are in select Nova locations. Very cool looking there. It's an Era. It's no longer black. They've got 4 colors for it. And it has the PAX Smart, where it remembers your favorite temperatures for specific pods. It also has the Expert Temp, where you can set the ideal temperature settings based on what the pods say to. And it's also got a quick charge too. It's 45 minutes and you're charged up and ready to go. So it's a good time if you've been thinking about getting a PAX Era. I'd recommend coming down to a Nova Cannabis store and talking to one of our reps there, and we'd love to let you know about them. They're sweet.
There we go. Use the click and collect for that, or to pick up some lemon skunk from Strain Hunters, courtesy of Thumbs Up brand. Chris, thanks as always for coming out. This has been a lot of fun as usual. Thanks very much for making the trek out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dean.
This is the Cannabis 101 podcast, your guide through the legalization and consumption of cannabis in Canada and beyond.
All right, that's going to pretty much wrap things up for us on the show. Big thanks to Erik and Shahbaaz of, Dutchie for Shahbaaz, and Erik is with Detonate, and of course, they come together to work with Spiffy. With Spiffy.com is where you can find them. And my educator, Chris Ianson, my man, bringing the Lemon Skunk Strain Hunters from Thumbs Up brand on What's That Strain. That was awesome as well. Make sure you chime in on the cannabis question. It is, simply put, what family member would you like to get high with? And just for chiming in, you'll go in the draw and you could win a pair of Regal Slims. That's how generous I'm feeling this week. We'll give away a pair of Regal Slims just for chiming in on the cannabis question. And you can hit us up on our social media feeds, or you can email us cannabis101podcast@gmail.com. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave us a review. Let us know what you think, and make sure you're subscribing to get everything aired all the time from the Cannabis 101 podcast. Of course, big thanks to Stone Smiths, our presenting sponsor. The Slash, oh no, it's right here. Sorry, the Slash, it's usually up behind me, is brilliant. Check it out at stonesmiths.ca. That 12-second auto fire is perfect. Boom, boom, double click. Wait your 4 seconds, enjoy your session, and then it stops. It's just absolutely awesome. Some more features that we will tell you about as we're going along with this show about this wonderful thing, and you can find out more information, as mentioned, at stonesmiths.ca. If you would like to join Stone Smiths and be a part of the show, please email me at cannabis101podcast gmail.com. And for all other podcast needs, check out Podcast Alley. I have a few shows there that you might like as well. Fantasy sports, NHL draft, and sports and pop culture. We're back at it on Monday. David Wiley, Malcolm LaBelle will join us as usual. We will also have Weed Word of the Day and the Cannabis Question, and so much more. Thanks very much for tuning in, for watching. Have yourself a great rest of the week in cannabis. We'll put out all the individual segments for the rest of the week, so check out our Twitter feed and our Instagram feeds and Facebook for all of those individual segments. Have yourself a great week. Thanks to Stone Smiths for being a part of this show, and for you, the listener and the viewer. Also, thanks to the artist My Dead Dog, as we leave you, like we normally do, with the marijuana song from My Dead Dog. Remember, it's not just about getting high, it's about getting healthy.
Child, please.